Hey guys, it's Big J here from the Centre Bounce. Today we're talking Saints. We've got Jake from Saints TV. You know there's no one better to talk about his club. How you doing, Jake?
I'm good, mate. You're Big J, and I would say I'm Big J on my side of the world in Saints TV land. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's good to be on. Good to we're talking off air, but good to not be the host of the show for once. To come on and just chat Saints footy with someone like yourself, and we've worked together on Fancast, and
Mhm.
you've seen a bit of the Saints and have some opinions. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I guess kind of when you don't have to do all the behind the scenes work, there's no editing for you. It's just what? Half an hour talk of the team that you love to go and watch every game of the season almost.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best thing any fan can do is just chat to another fan about the
Mhm.
footy over a beer or online like now. So, and it's off season and there's no footy to really watch anymore. AFLW's wrapped up, so this is the
Mhm.
next best thing is to just catch up and chat about the season ahead, what lies ahead. That's the most exciting thing, especially for both our clubs.
Well, I mean, that's why we're here today, right? Just kind of starting off before, everyone kind of knows you, but for the fans that haven't kind of known your stuff or why, I've somewhat chosen you to come on the show and talk Saints, kind of just give us a rundown of what you do.
Yep. So I guess we started in 2018. We've got a pretty successful podcast at the moment that started
Mhm.
in 2020. I kind of blew up from doing match reviews after the game. So in my car, live reviews, which was kind of unique at
Mhm.
the time, still is. And I just kind of go live on Facebook. People tuned in, a good place to vent, good place to share your emotion, or just to be positive about the team after a win. Back when I
Yep.
started it, we weren't winning, so it was very much a place for people to go and
Mm.
complain and vent because you can't really
Yep.
do that on the actual club channels. And from there,
No,
it's
not.
just no, it's grown and grown, and yeah, we're working a bit with the club now, and yeah, just ticking the boxes as we go and having fun along the way.
That's pretty cool. I mean, like I've seen some of your stuff, and weren't you guys like down at the club Best and Fairest the other week?
Yeah, yeah, we got to go after the season, which was awesome. We got invited down and got to interview maybe 10 players and a few coaches on the red
Mhm.
carpet and went to media day and did a few things pre-game at Marvel with players that weren't playing. We got to interview them on stage and stuff like that throughout the year. So
Yep.
yeah, it was the doors were opening big time this year, which was really good. And next year, hopefully, we're already discussing a few things, but hopefully it'll be even bigger and better.
Mate, that's the dream. I mean, North Melbourne hit us up. I got the jersey. I got the big kangaroo on my shirt. Let me
Worth
know.
it.
Hey, come down.
Is
Um,
that a North game in the background though? Well, that's
oh,
not even that's
it's
SCG, is it?
something. I think that could be North Melbourne in the background. I think it's someone
They
versus
wa-
Sydney. So yeah, we'll see
Yep.
how we go.
Yeah.
Um, St Kilda.
Hmm.
We're going to kind of go over the games and things like that. Who you guys won, who you guys lost to, and how you did in the finals. But kind of just give us a bit of an overview of how you felt the season went as a fan.
Yep. So yeah, it was hit the ground running. We won the first four. I think we were 7-1 after the first eight or something like that. We only
Yep.
lost to Collingwood by a goal in that
Mhm.
gather round game, which was really exciting for neutrals. We kind of got teams figured us out a little bit, probably midway through the season. We
Yep.
hit the ground running because we had Machito Owens, we had all these new
Mhm.
Caminiti. We surprised teams. They didn't know how to match up on us because we didn't have Max King, we didn't have Tim Membry. We had so many injuries to start the season that the lineup was so unpredictable.
Yep.
Teams figured us out a little bit. We got players back, which actually kind of threw our rhythm out a little bit. So we dropped a few games that we probably like. We lost to Hawthorn before the bye, which would have put us
Mhm.
at 12-2 or something. Would have been a great win loss, and we stuffed it.
Yeah.
We didn't have a great game against North, so the writing was on the
Mhm.
wall. We won, but it was one of the uglier games you'd ever see. But then we found our way again. So we started building again. We matured a little bit. And I feel like we don't get enough credit for that, that we could have really let the season fall away. Like
Yep.
finals wasn't looking likely at round 17, 18.
Mhm.
And we pulled wins against Geelong and Richmond, who weren't at their best, to be fair, that last year, but they're still seasoned teams that know
Yeah.
how to perform in big games and teams that we'd lost to previously when we played them. And we
Mhm.
beat them both convincingly. And then, we got knocked out in the first week, but it was a good learning experience, and there were a lot of different stories around that game that might be reasons as to why we weren't at our best, but
Mhm.
I think we still came back from 40 down twice to get within 18 points, and
Yeah.
just wasn't, we used all our petrol tickets, but I was glad that we made finals, because some people tell me they're like, oh, I'd rather not make finals, because I don't want my team to get there and then just get blown out of the water. It's meaningless. I'm like, you still make fun. It's still an experience. The build up, the national anthem, training, it's all
Mm.
different. Like for me, Filippo plays every game. He gets a final. Machida Owens gets a final. Nasai Wanganeen Malira. They get a taste.
Mm.
They want to get back there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's even better when you've got these younger kids and then new contracts come around, things like that. If
Mm,
you're a team that's mid-table, you've never really had that chance. And we'll look at Freo and Schultz. Like Collingwood comes along and says, "Hey, mate, come to us. We're at least competitive." That
done.
these
No
young kids
question.
can say, "Hey, look, finals. We've been playing. We didn't win, but yeah, that's kind of keeps those players around."
Absolutely.
Ross Lyon, you're pretty happy with his performance this year?
Yeah, ecstatic. Yeah, I was a big fan when the second there were rumors, like literally the
Mm.
night that Ratton got the sack, I had text messages from some sources that said Ross is back, like already. And I was like,
Yep.
mate, I hope you're true. I hope that's true. And it was announced true. And a lot of Saners were very skeptical about it. And some had their reasons. A lot of them were very murky, just off the back of, he left us, in a rut last time and all this. But there are all these different stories about what actually happened when he did leave to go to Freo that time, and
Yeah.
that didn't bother me. And we needed someone strict like him. We needed someone that wasn't going to take, half-assed efforts. No
Mm.
disrespect to Rats, but I feel like he was quite cuddly, quite a father figure, and that's what we needed at the time. In
Yeah.
COVID 2020, we made finals under him, but I never saw us winning a flag under him.
Mhm.
So for Ross to come on, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Look at the Frio team that he took to a grand final. Like on paper, look at the lineup. Like that's amazing effort. And yes, he hasn't won a flag, but no one can discount the fact that he demands
Yeah.
top standards from every single player, regardless of
Um,
whether you're best 22 or you're playing in the VFL. You
mm.
all adhere to the same level, and I'm seeing that at training every week now.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I know with when Clarko came back, and the same with Ross, like these players that have had a little bit of time out of the game coming back
Mm.
in, they're not here to just like make up numbers, right? They're
Yeah.
they're pushing hard and they know kind of, hey, look, we've been there or been around the mark. We know which players are good and which ones kind of
Mm.
need to go.
Yeah, and you look at the players like Ronnie Burns, who just had a great season. Mason Wood was all Australian in the
Mm.
first half of the year. These are the players that, like, Ross can coach the top tier player, like the Jack Steels, Rowan Marshalls, right? But it's
Yep.
the bottom 10 to 15 players on a list that are okay that he could turn into good or great for a season, and that's all you need to win a flag. You don't need to turn Mason Wood into a gun every single season. It's just
Yep.
for that perfect period of time that overlaps with other players playing a really good level, and that gets you that flag.
Yeah. And
He did that.
it's about building the best kind of 22 as a whole as well. So when
Yeah,
Mason Wood does have a poorer game, someone else can stand up and do well.
exactly right. And we proved that. We had, second or third most injuries in terms of
Mm.
games missed for the season, but we also blooded the second most games into our youth, over 100 games blooded. I think the next best team might have been North. I
Yeah,
think maybe number
probably.
one, but you were only marginally ahead of us, which was
Yeah.
absurd because we made finals. We won a lot more games. We blooded as many games into youth as the team that
Mm.
essentially finished last. It's
We
not a
have a
bad
lot more
effort.
younger players too, like
That
just in
too.
general.
So yeah, like Filippo played every game.
Mm.
Every single game. Machito Owens played 18 or 19. So that's one aspect of Ross that has changed. He didn't do
Mm.
that last time around, but he's
Yeah.
giving games into youth, and I mean they're repaying his faith.
Yeah, 100%. Um, Kind of going through the games from this year. So finished sixth. Pretty decent average, I have to say, of 107.8.
Yeah,
And then 13 wins, 10 losses. So you got to be pretty happy with that, right? As you
yeah,
said, you fell off a little bit in the middle, but had a great start of the season.
yeah. Like we lost to the Gold Coast on the Gold Coast and Hawthorn at Marvel,
Hmm.
That annoyed me. And even Richmond at the G that time, Taranto just went nuts, but otherwise we were fairly consistent.
Yep.
Um, so there were 15 or 16 wins there for the taking, but 13 to 14 was probably where we were at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the big wins. Yeah, the dogs was the first time. That was round 2, and I was like, shit, okay, we might be better than I think here. All the dogs are just awful. And it was kind of a bit of both for the first part of the period of the season. Dogs never really got going, but
No, they didn't.
that I think that surprised a lot of people, that result.
Mm. And then, like, we know how good Carlton is, so
Yeah.
fantastic win over them. You beat GWS, the Swans, Cats, and
Mm.
the Dons. So it wasn't like you were playing, the West Coast and North Melbourne and Hawthorn multiple times and kind of sneaking into the top 8 versus those teams with 2 wins
No.
each. Like, you guys
No,
actually versed them and beat some legitimate competition.
most of the teams below us, we beat. And
Yep.
that's what when people like, "Oh, Saints, they were lucky to make it." I'm like, "No, Sydney were lucky to make it.
Mhm.
Adelaide should have been there, not Sydney."
Oh, of
That's
course, yeah.
talk about luck. That's how you get lucky. We didn't get lucky. We earned the right. We won enough games. We
Mm.
beat the Premiers.
Yep.
We beat the Swans. We literally beat both grand finalists from the previous year. What else do you want
Mhm.
from us, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and the Blues, we were beating up until 10 minutes into the last quarter for the second game, and
Mhm.
then they just went berserk. So we could have beaten the Blues twice, which is a pretty decent effort considering everyone's got them number 1, number 2 ranked for next year,
Yeah.
already, which is funny, but yeah.
Looking at the ins and outs in the trade period. So you
Yeah.
brought in Henry, Dow, pick 21 from the Gresham trade, and a couple of futures. So they don't really
Mm.
matter too much. Lost Gresham, Caulfield, Billings, who never really felt like he was at the mark. Obviously, that round 1 pick, I believe, but kind of had his injuries and things like that. And then delisted Highmore, Bytel, Connolly, Paris, and McKenzie, who kind of got a bit shafted after the PSD, which we'll talk about next.
Yeah, that's all. When I look at that page, I love it. I love every bit of
Yeah.
that. Like, yes, we had to let go of some household names, but
Mhm.
Gresh wasn't cutting it, and he played most games this year, and Ross saw enough of him, and I think all Saints fans could agree that he just didn't suit the way we wanted to play. And if
Mhm.
you told me we lose Gresh, but we get someone like Liam Henry, I think that's a better balance.
Yep.
For our team. Paddy Dow, more midfield depth. He's got a great bit of acceleration off that 5 to 10 meter mark, which is I didn't know, but he does. And
Mhm.
his ball use is better than people think. And Caulfield, we've got that many halfbacks. I don't think it was ever really a position that he would take. Same with Highmore, to be honest, when he got and he got delisted. Dan McKenzie as well. And Jack Billings was kind of one that I wanted to see just one more year out of him under
Mhm.
Ross, but like if I was already prepared to say goodbye and you know we'd move on. He had his chances previously, not in the last year because of his injuries,
Yeah.
but again, just a player I don't think suits that hard running defense and then offense at the same time, like what Ross wants.
Yeah. He always felt like he was that player that was on the precipice. Hey, look, he'll have a few good things in a game. Maybe he has a good game on the stat sheet, but could never really put it together. Is that kind of how
Yeah.
you felt a bit?
Yeah, I mean, some of his games, like early 2017, 2018, he's had games where he's got like 30 possessions and kick 5.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's absurd. Like, that's
Yeah.
nuts. Not many players in their career will ever get numbers like that. And he
Where
did,
was the rest?
but
Yeah.
he, I think he might blossom if Melbourne turn it on this year, he'll probably blossom. He
Mhm.
won't have to be defensively minded. He can be that half forward connect. Just kick it to a Ben Brown on the lead, and he'll do a good job. Keep it simple. Ross
Yep.
wants players that are going to get in and under, hard, run hard back, and be aggressive moving forward. I don't think Billings fits that mentality.
Mhm.
Um, and it's good to just be ballsy enough to say, you know what, you were pick 3. We gave you a chance.
Yep.
See you later. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And it goes back to what we were saying with Ross, right? Where he kind of knows which players he wants to keep and the ones that are going to push you guys further in the finals. And,
Yeah.
Billings just isn't that guy, not worth the contract
100%.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. So you've lost a few defenders here, some guys in the back line, things like that. If we
Yeah.
go to the players you picked up, you guys did pretty well for, having pick 18 as like your first pick.
Yeah.
Darcy Wilson. I was annoyed because North Melbourne were going to pick him, and then you guys
Yeah.
come in like 2 picks earlier and nab him up. Collard, who I was keen on the whole bloody preseason, whole draft is like, yep, Collard, you got him again.
Yeah.
And then a few other players who maybe like are going to fill roles for you.
Yeah, Darcy Wilson, I've been to training a few times, and I went for the time trial, so I saw him do what everyone was talking about, which was just he literally after like it was a 3K time trial, and in the 200 meters to finish, he just started sprinting and finished and blew everyone away. And I was like, "Who was that?" And everyone's telling me Darcy Wilson did that.
Yeah.
And it's not a fluke. Every training session when they're doing laps or sprints, no one's getting near him. He's an athletic freak, but he also knows how to kick a footy. Like we've had players like Dan McKenzie, who originally was just an athlete and didn't have much football skills. Darcy Wilson is the full package. So very, very excited. I reckon he's going to debut round 1. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. Collard's pretty raw, but lose Gresh and get someone like Collard, who's just a bona fide small forward freak and just loves to kick a goal and take a specky. That's super exciting. Hasty's a very aggressive halfback. So that's not surprising. We lose Highmore and these sort of guys, but Hasty's got better ball use. Geelong Falcons. I think he's going to be very handy. And Garcia's, I think, injured at the moment, so I haven't seen much of him.
I did make a mistake.
Is the big one.
And Sean Maker was picked 62. So
yeah,
just for the fans that are going to put in the comments, pick 62 and not 56. So I made a mistake.
I mean, 56 is still a steal to get him, but 62 is crazy. I know he's had his off-field problems, but like I've been to training, I've seen him train, and that left foot of his is just a work of art. It's insane how far he kicks it and accurately off like 2 steps.
Yep.
Like he's Daniel Rich, but he's a key defender size. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. Do you see it? We've spoken a little bit about Darcy Wilson. Do you see any of these other guys kind of playing early, or more of a throughout the season?
Ross said that Wilson, Collard, and Sean Maker, he's already listed as players that should be featured quite heavily next year. So he said that in his press conference. Maybe Hasty. I don't think Garcia, and obviously Riley Bonner was a surprise to pick him up.
Yes,
but a pleasant surprise. 26. He's played the 90-odd games for Port. He's again a beautiful left foot. So him and Sean Maker last week were doing like that. They had like Josh Battle or someone that had marked the ball 60 out, and it had Bonner running past one side and Sean Maker running the other. And it's just who do you handball to take the long shot running by? And it's good to have that sort of weaponry off half back. You know, those big aggressive kicks, because I think that's something we struggled with this year was when teams would corral us into the back 50. We just couldn't get out.
Yeah, definitely.
And so having these guys to be able to kick past the zone is going to be really important for us.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those big things that I'm going to reference North Melbourne, but it's something we're really working on, and a few of these other clubs that so much pressure was put on that, defensive 50 that, cool, you kind of got it behind and then you kicked it out again, but it would almost always result in a goal. So getting someone like a Sean Maker who can just belt it, as you say, Daniel Rich style, it's going to be fantastic for you.
Absolutely. And like then you've got hopefully Max King fully fit, Ron Marshall down the line. So we'll have targets. And I think we trouble teams with speed this year, but I think we're going to be even quicker and fitter next year, which is going to be good.
Well, we're talking about next year. Let's go into our predictions for 2024. I love that segue there. Fancast segue kind of sweeping in a little bit. Let the fans know you're a fan yourself. What are you expecting? On your channel, you kind of talk about, you don't have to be kind of PC here. Obviously, no swearing, but just let us know, hey, look, this is what I truly think. This is what, I think is going to happen.
I mean, right now everyone's writing us off. I literally feel like I've gone back a season. Like I've gone back to last 2022. We've just sacked Ratton. We've just signed up Ross. And literally, if I look at the headlines and the articles and the reasons as to why people say we won't make finals, it's literally the same crap. I'm like, so, And it's annoying because people said, "Oh, Ross will need to do this to prove me wrong," and in fact, he did all of those things and more. But
Hmm.
those same people are like, "No, I'm still going to stick to my guns. I'm still going to say Saints are shit and all this." And it's like,
Yeah.
so no matter what we do, you're just going to have that opinion of us, you know?
Hmm.
Yet Fox Footy come out with hype ratings and have Carlton number one and then like Sydney number two. And I'm like, Sydney number two? What's the proof? Everyone's just assuming that. I guess everyone does say, yeah, improvement's not linear. And obviously
Yeah.
that means we don't have to get better. We could get worse. But there's no
Hmm.
indication. We've drafted better than almost every team in the eight, I think, that have made
Yeah.
finals. Only Collingwood, I think, did better in the trade period. There's not much we've done wrong. We're fully fit, touch wood. This time last year, we had 4 or 5 big names out. Um, Jack Hayes will be back. Max King's going to be back. Tim Membry's playing on. Like,
Hmm.
our midfield's gotten stronger. We had the number one defensive unit in the comp.
Yep.
That
And it's
kept
only
us in
got better.
games. It's only
Yeah.
gotten better, and our attack is going to get better.
Yeah.
It
And I
was
think as
poor.
well, it really feels like some of the issues, and you can kind of attest to this if you want, some of the issues that you had at the start of the season with players being injured. You've got a better team, and now those players aren't injured either.
Exactly. Yeah, Max King is just he hasn't done much ball work at training, but he's just running laps and looks so fit. And you need to
Mm.
see the size of Machida Owens now.
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
put on about 4 or 5 already. He's in the
Hmm.
gym I nearly swore there, but every session. He looks like an absolute monster. Like up close, he looks almost bigger than Max King. I'm like, that can't be possible. But he's like, we haven't even talked about him, but he's another player they'll just get better, these youngsters at every team. The new youngsters coming through now are just so mature. They're just not overawed by the occasion. So I think that we're gonna play that, underdog tag again. We're gonna defy the
Hmm.
odds, and I can see us easily finishing fifth or sixth again.
Does
I think I'd be happy with that.
does Machida Owens play that kind of forward second ruck role that we saw earlier on in the season?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's second ruck, but I definitely think that he's building up to be that big time mid that
Hmm.
um that we're lacking in there. Jack Steele and Crouchy will play a lot of footy in there. Sinks might go in there a bit more if we can afford Naz and maybe someone else, Hasty, if he wants to play. If if we think he's ready, he can play off halfback and take Sinks into the guts. But um, I think Machito and Filippo will be two that will rotate mid and forward a lot more aggressively than this year for sure.
Um,
Um,
got Do you have any surprise packets? Some players that maybe the fans should be looking out for. We spoke a bit about Darcy Wilson, but anyone else kind of on your mind?
ooh, surprise packets. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I think as a team we're just a surprise packet, but
Mhm.
I hope Liam Henry just goes nuts. Like
Yep.
I think it'll be a surprise to people because he's a good player, but I think I don't think many people know much of him just because he's not been playing for a
That one.
Victorian club.
Yep.
Kind of like Bobby Hill. Bobby Hill's very good,
Mm.
and I wanted him when before I went to Collingwood. So um, I knew they were getting a very good player, and I think hopefully that's going to be reminiscent of us getting Liam Henry is the same.
Yeah.
Just an aggressive, clean half forward sort of wingman, which will be good.
I have a question before we kind of say goodbye to the fans.
Yeah.
How good is it going to feel to see Paddy Dow dominate and the Blues fans cry when they're like, why do we not keep this player? He's now just getting like 30 clearances a game and 2 goals.
Yeah. I mean, he killed us when we played them last. I was like, I want this guy.
Yep.
No, it'll be funny when Liam Stocker's kicking it out, kicks it long, handball to Paddy Dow. He kicks it long, and then Caminiti marks it and kicks the goal. It's just all Carlton, basically. That'll be nice. But nah, Carlton, they're going to do well next year, that's for sure. But I think it definitely strengthens us, and we didn't give up a whole lot to get him.
No, definitely not.
Um, and I think obviously there's talent there. Like he had a good back end of the year with Carlton. I was kind of surprised we got him in the end. I thought he'd stick around, but he just wanted more opportunities, and that's fair enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Is Jake off his rocker or has he got it
Yeah.
right? We
No,
want to
I'll
hear.
get.
We want to hear from you guys.
Nah, they'll stitch me up here. I know Cardman. He did his footy fixture predictions where fans
Mhm.
voted on the fixtures and that
Yep.
dictated the ladder. And it got to St Kilda versus West Coast, and like 62% of his audience voted West Coast. I was like, this is bullshit. Like
Yep.
this is not. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, West Coast, they should have beaten us this year, but come on, like 62%.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that. I saw
not
some of the
cool.
things on Squiggle that were like that when we did ours, and it was North Melbourne versus Brisbane, and somehow North Melbourne was like 80%. Like that.
Yeah,
That's not right. It's not going to happen.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Nah.
Jake, before we head off, what have you got coming out? Anything the fans need
Mm.
to look out for over the next couple of weeks?
No, it'll be Christmas time, New Year's. I did just drop a interesting video of about if St Kilda do win their second flag, would it be considered the greatest
Hmm.
flag in AFL history?
Yep.
So give it a watch. It's a bit more of a generic sort of video, so open to all AFL fans. Keen to hear your thoughts.
Perfect. All right, guys. We'll link that down in the description for you. Remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to. Bye for now.